A meeting of Shadow Garden highlights their progress in stopping the activities of the Cult of Diablos in the Midgar Kingdom, and since smaller sects are already at a standstill, they're free to work on their goals for the Arana Kingdom. However, the subordinate also emphasizes the increase in funds going into the Lawless City, a place that belongs to no nation and has all the evil happening in it. Something bad happening in that city could lead to immeasurable damage to surrounding nations due to the extent of evil presence in it. The girl suggests sending a group to investigate it, but Sid cuts them off and that he'll deal with this issue. This world seems to be pretty generous for Sid, since not only do things align for him to fulfill his dream of being an eminence in shadow, but the universe also grants him perfect syncs to be dramatic. The moment Sid mentions he'll do it, the girls are scared of the chaos that is caused by the storm brewing outside. It's also concerning how red the moon has gotten. In this world, the legendary red moon signifies something catastrophic is about to happen, and this feels like it's linked to the commotion occurring in the Lawless City. Alpha is about to mention that they will go to the city when Sid tells them that he'll do it. The girls show concern in wanting to send him alone into the hub of evil, but Shadow tells them to not have any fear. He casually mentions that it's just the moon turning red, which still looks as beautiful. The ever so obsessed girl bow down praising their Lord Shadow for making them see the beauty of the moon, even in this grave situation. Meanwhile, Sid is internally amused at how everything can be turned huge and dramatic when it comes to these girls. Goldie and Quentin stand in front of the Crimson Tower, ruled by the Blood Queen, and the three rulers of the Lawless City. They analyze how the citizens are brutally killed by the vampires for even trying to appear near the tower. Goldie is about to boast about his powers and courage when someone on the top of the gate tells them they're not authorized to enter, since they're neither the servants nor the guests of the Blood Queen. The two look at each other and laugh that they are there to kill her. The weird guy mocks them for being foolish, for which he'd once tried doing the same, resulting in him losing his right arm and being kept on a leash as some sort of pathetic watchdog. The two retort about not being weak, only to get to know that he is the legendary White Devil, a wanted criminal with a bounty on his head. And with that intro, the White Devil launches himself onto the two warriors, like a predator stalking its prey. Claire is also walking around the Lawless City, but she isn't alone. She has someone who she's dragging with her. Who could it be other than her very own little brother? Claire won the Bushin Festival and got a spot among the Dark Knights. She decided to go for the extermination of vampires in the Lawless City, but not without her favorite puppy. She tells Sid she dragged him with her in consideration for his future. If he sticks behind her and does what she says, she'll pry open a spot amongst the Midgar Knights for him after he graduates. This makes Sid realize he never thought of what he'll do for the future, and Claire seems to know well enough that he didn't. The Lawless City does not seem to have any consideration or decency, as all its crimes occur in the open in broad daylight. A man stops Claire, asking if this young lady would like to buy a man as her puppet, and pretty iconic how these two of all people come across the two famous warriors from the Bushin Festival, but in a brutally beaten up form. Sid, who is also on the ground, looks at them closely, thinking he's seen them somewhere, while Claire tells the seller that she's already gotten a pet with her. As Claire leaves for a meeting, strictly asking Sid to wait outside, Sid notices how easily people pickpocket here. He decides to play along in the mischief. Every time someone steals his wallet, he steals theirs back. So, after a little while, he's walking around with a blank face and a pile of wallets in his hand, taking joy in the matter. While walking around, he notices some men bullying a ghoul and beating him up. The tables, however, turn abruptly the moment the red moon becomes visible. The ghoul goes berserk and wreaking havoc, and turning the men. Sid stands there amused while the now two ghouls walk toward him. He knows he can deal with them easily, so he decides to let them come uneasily close. This is noticed by a red-haired woman who slaughters them. Thinking she'd done him a favor, proceeding to introduce herself as Mary, the ancient vampire hunter, and gives an interesting caution to Sid before leaving. Run if you value your life. The frenzy has begun, the moon is red, and we are out of time. This statement, however, gives Sid the thrill and inspiration that he'd always loved. A girl lies in a room cursing her life as a prostitute when a man knocks on her door, not in a normal state, but as a ghoul. She freaks out, but an attack from outside the window saves her. Shadow appears dramatically and repeats the same lines as Mary. He seems to have adapted another tagline for the Lawless City, other than his Shadow introduction. Shadow's words give her a weird motivation to break this sick contract and leave the city. A white fox-like lady, Yukimi is also updated about vampires setting ghouls loose in the city. Shortly after she'd been looking around for her brother, Sid, Claire cries in confusion, holding the body of someone dressed like Sid. But Mary appears there, telling her this is not the guy, matching her brother's description. She tells Claire she saw 2 boys of that appearance, one of which was taken towards the Crimson Tower for a living sacrifice. They need someone's blood to awaken their Blood Queen, Elizabeth. Claire joins hands with Mary to raid the Crimson Tower and save Sid. Another man, Juggernaut, is seen amused by the battle situation. Shadow wanders around with his tagline saving random people from the ghouls. Lord Crimson is updated about the preparation of the sacrifice and the resistance in their plans. He's aware that Yukimi of the White Tower and Juggernaut of the Black Tower are behind this, but he's informed of an unexpected third man who's saving people from ghouls. Yukimi and Juggernaut turn out to be rivals of each other while fighting the same cause. Shadow appears amid their confrontation to accomplish his aim of being the shadow that lurks in the shadows to hunt shadows. Yukimi and Juggernaut are confused at the intervention, but upon hearing his name, they realize who he is. Of course, word got out about him after the chaos linked to Rose and the Bushin Festival. However, the two still don't consider him strong enough to be a danger to them. Meanwhile, the White Devil is dreading to do something so dearly loved before becoming a watchdog. Seeing all the murders happening around them makes him want to relive his life as a criminal, for killing people gives him a thrill like nothing else. But his desire turns into disappointment when Yukimi and Juggernaut appear. He knows he's not strong enough to fight them, which means he cannot intervene in the killing at all. The White Devil is shocked at how easily Juggernaut broke the gate of the tower and walked in. This was followed by Yukimi and Shadow. As Shadow passes through, he doesn't feel any energy radiating off of Shadow, which gives him the conclusion that he's stronger than Shadow. He jumps off excited to finally kill someone, but even before landing on the ground, his body is severed into several pieces. The best part is, Shadow does not even turn to do so. The White Devil is breathing his last breaths in a confusion, dazed by the mysteries of Shadow. Beta surfs through some books in a library. When Claire and Mary slide down into that space, Beta was supposed to eradicate all witnesses, but she cannot do that due to Claire's status and role. She tells her she doesn't want to fight them, and Mary also reminds Claire that they're short of time, and these girls don't seem to like danger. Claire asks what Beta is doing there. She tells them she wants to find an antidote to cure the possessed ones, as the bloodline of the Progenitor Vampires and possessed ones are linked if it goes back. Claire is intrigued about possessed ones having the possibility to be cured, while Mary calls this linkage an insult to the Progenitor Vampires. Beta mocks her for being offended while she is a vampire hunter. Mary changes the subject, reminding Claire she needs to save her brother. This gets Rose to act up and almost reveal her identity, if not for Beta shutting her up. As the two leave, Mary is reminded from behind that she can still go back to the haven she wanted, which shows the elves know something about her past. While making their way to the Blood Queen, Claire pries about the Shadow Garden's words to Mary, making Mary retort with her interest in curing the possessed ones. Mary tells them they both have their secrets and shouldn't interfere in those. Suddenly, an immense amount of magical energy surprised them. They peek around to find Juggernaut. Mary tells Claire that he's the tyrant who rose up through the Lawless City by sheer violence. He is currently seen beating up the third most eminent vampires of the tower, so Mary suggests they wait till he goes away. Unfortunately, the situation doesn't go as planned, since Juggernaut senses their presence and directly lands a punch on Claire's face, followed by a hit to Mary. He's busy calling them weak when Claire suddenly stabs his foot, amusing him for not being done by his punch. Claire rushes to check up on Mary, only to get worried about the amount of blood she's losing. Mary tells Claire she's fine, and with an empty consent, she moves forward to suck Claire's blood. Claire is too shocked to react while Mary's energy increases by sucking blood after a long time. Juggernaut is still confident that he is stronger and isn't in the wrong either. By deflecting the attack of Mary, he uses the moment to come behind the two. He's about to launch a fatal attack at Claire when a strike sends Juggernaut and his sword flying. Shadow appears there, says his tagline, and disappears, leaving everybody confused about why he'd save them. Mary apologizes to Claire about the blood-sucking, while Claire now knows Mary's secret was her being a vampire. Mary decides to share her past of how vampires used to rule over humans, slaughtering and feasting upon them, as if they were nothing, but that was only until humans learned how to get rid of vampires. Among this rivalry, there was the Blood Queen, Elizabeth, who decided she wanted to live in harmony with the humans and stop drinking blood. This was supported by her admirers, which included Mary herself. Even though the rest vampires were able to adapt to normal life, Elizabeth's thirst for blood never ended. Her self-control was going strong until the night of the blood moon, when the vampires were the strongest. Elizabeth wasn't in good condition, and Crimson gave her one drop of blood to taste. This made the Blood Queen go berserk and caused a catastrophe that 3 kingdoms had to face. Guilty of it, Elizabeth decided to take her life, requesting Mary to burn her body to ashes, but she wasn't ordinary enough to have her body burnt. Mary had sworn to protect and preserve her body until Crimson and his subordinates forcefully took the body from her to reincarnate it. After listening to this, Claire suggests Mary communicate with Elizabeth and try to attain this harmony again. She also shares that she thinks she is possessed and wants to do something to stabilize her brother's future before she completely transforms. But now that Sid is in danger, she regrets forcing him to accompany her. The 2 women decide to work together to achieve each of their goals. Sid finally reaches the vampire's treasures and is amazed by the amount of jewels he finds there. After surfing through for what he should choose as if the things belong to him, he decides to pad his slime with millions of coins. After doing so, he decides to meet the boss early, this time rather than showing up fashionably late like his usual entrances. Crimson takes out the heart from the skeleton of the Blood Queen and is ready to fix it to the body of the guy he sacrificed for that. But before it can happen, he comes under the impact of a huge amount of magical energy by none other than Shadow. Sid looks around the beheaded vampires trying to figure out who the boss could be, but no one seems like they could be the boss here. He felt for sure that he'd find the boss in that place, and the possibility of this uproar not having a leader also didn't make any sense, so he decided to look around underground. The devoted Shadow also decides to simply collect more coins and head home if he doesn't find some boss around the area. Claire and Mary rush toward the area where Crimson is, but find neither Sid nor Elizabeth. That is only until something pierces through Claire's body, holding her captive. It turns out to be the strong strand of Elizabeth's hair. She's successfully been resurrected and is currently feeding on Claire's blood. Before things could go much more out of hand, Shadow Garden appears rescuing Claire from the holds of Elizabeth. Beta assumes that Shadow must have some ulterior motive to not have revealed himself in front of everyone yet. So, it is their responsibility to handle the situation, till then to save his sister's life too. She attacks Elizabeth with 2 of her subordinates, but it only looks like things are under control for a while. A worried Mary tells them they might be strong, but Elizabeth is just waking up and her strength is continuously rising with time. With that cue, Elizabeth's strength rises into a red glow, surrounding her. Juggernaut and Yukimi also appear there, while Yukimi acts as an audience. Juggernaut wants to intervene, but instantly gets slammed and flung into some rubble. Followed by this is a shower of blood spears by Elizabeth. The rain is hard enough to affect everyone but not kill them. Beta notices that she is absorbing their blood to make herself stronger and heal herself. She tells Rose to take Claire and rush to safety. Rose tries to resist but gets reminded that she needs to stay alive for the motive she has for her life. The next attack by Elizabeth is something everyone deemed impossible by possessing the blood bestowed to them by Lord Shadow. What's even more concerning is that Claire is also being affected by a curse. In a sudden moment, Claire opens her eyes in a hospital-like room. There sits Aurora, dressed as a doctor interacting with Claire. She uses the most confusing way of explaining to Claire what's happening to her. She first mentions Claire being linked to him, a reference that she also doesn't get. Aurora then goes on to say something about her possession being cured, but her body adapting to such intense changes that her body might rot soon. Before Claire can recover from that shock or get any more explanation, Aurora randomly shifts to talking about the evolution of humans from monkeys and how only the stronger and sane ones survived. She tells her that 2 types of blood, the vampire and possessed ones, are trying to show their characteristics inside her body, and Claire has no control over how it could result in her body being affected. Instead of telling how it could affect Claire, Aurora closes her stuff and starts walking away as if time is up. Giving regards to Claire, and markings appear on Claire's hand that will help her control her powers according to Aurora. Claire tries to get some more information from a retreating Aurora, but she only tells her that things are already getting out of hand outside, and she only helped her because she belongs to him. With that, the memory breaks like a dream. In the Crimson Tower, instead of Claire, Aurora rises, confusing everyone around. Aurora steps up and takes control of the attacks on Elizabeth. She then tries to cast the atomic attack like Shadows, but this hurts Claire's hand, making her realize this body withstood the attack she's trying to cast. Beta tries to interact in the chaotic situation, but Aurora tells everyone that she was just there to cover till he appears. With that, Claire turns back to her original self, followed by yet another dramatic entry of Mr. Shadow. An intense shower of attacks by both Elizabeth and Shadow occurs, while everyone stands there watching the chaos unfold. Beta is confused at why Shadow isn't attacking Elizabeth when she is already in range of him, until she realizes that he's protecting all of them in the scenario as their possessed blood showing up has made them helpless. Shadow is not only retaliating and protecting himself, but he's also deflecting all the attacks directed at the girls. As Beta looks up at Shadow, even more fascinated, he shines in the middle of the blood and slime shower, coupled with the golden sparks of the destroyed coins padded in his slime. After finally having enough of it, Shadow finally makes his move. If you think he has had enough and is ranting about not wanting to lose a single more of his people, you're wrong. He's frustrated and does not want to lose a single more of the coins he saved. In a swift moment, closes in on Elizabeth, after which the two are only seen as streaks of red and purple light attacking each other in the sky from a distance. In the last moments, before Shadow makes the finishing blow, Elizabeth asks his name, only to receive that he is atomic, but not the usual one, but rather a recovery atomic attack, and with that the whole town recovers from the impact of ghouls and vampires, and the red moon disappears. One simple spell and all is removed, in the town truly displaying the immense power he possesses. As things resolve, Sid is at peace other than the one thing. He notices Claire feeling a tingling sensation on her left arm, and feeling like she has special powers that she needs to work on. But instead of understanding the situation, this stupid kid thinks she's also in some kind of childish fantasy of thinking she had special powers just like himself, and to top it off, he thinks it's a phase she will herself wear off. Claire finally opens up to her foolish little brother, telling him she needs to solve this mystery of the special powers taking root in her arm. Sid tells her that he is sure she will find her way and he'll be there for her in whatever she chooses. This seems to have consoled Claire for the rest of the journey. Sid thinks about how things didn't exactly go the way he planned them, but the setbacks were covered up well, and everything still ended well in the end. He also thinks about how he couldn't recover the 3,000 gold coins he stole, and only 500 remained with him. But this will still work out fine for him for a while. After that, he can always rely on the Lawless City to go steal from. He considers that city as his piggy bank now. Our protagonist is later seen walking into a train at night in his cloak, as he then proceeds to face one of the train towards the nine-tailed fox and the leader of the White Tower, Yukimi, in which we are left off with him concerning himself with the business she has with him. And on that note, thanks for watching. Don't hesitate to comment for part 2. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe for more content. Also remember to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest updates. Stay tuned for our next video, and until next time, take care.